Hello and welcome to the shed. In today's video I'm going to be making a quick replacement handle for the tripod that you're sitting on right now, so I can actually operate the camera without using a pair of vice grips. So let's get into it. So this is going to be a very quick spur of the moment build. I was in the middle of filming another video for you guys and the handle broke, and so I had a bit of a job getting it off the tripod because it's one of these stupid sliding ones, but it's off. And so what we're going to do is cut a section of this dowel, which happens to be the correct size that I had on hand. We'll chop a length of it about the size of my hand, and then what we're going to be doing today is shaping it primarily using a knife and maybe a spoke shave. So let's get in here and get started. I want to make the handle roughly the length of my hand, so it's just easy to grab. So what I'm going to do is just put a mark. I'm going to put a pencil mark here because what I'm going to do is save this cut till the last. So I'm going to do a bit of shaping to this top end first, and then this end here will be the very last thing cut. That allows to have the extra length of the dowel here, so you can lock it in your vise and you don't have any issues with it being too short and being able to grip it. So I'm just going to roughly put a line through here, because this is going to be the back end of the handle, so this will be the top end, so it'll be held like this in the end. This area is obviously going to get a little bit of a chamfer, so it doesn't matter if it's not 100% square. This end we want square. What I want to do is match it to the handle that I've already roughly got, and so I'm going to taper from this point here. I want to taper it into this end. I don't want to come in too much. I just want to roughly taper it in like this, and so I'm going to be doing that by eye, and you can see. So what I need to do is leave enough gap in the center, so I don't really want to take too much material off this end, because that's got to be large enough to fit onto my tripod. So I'll just show you. Just here with the vice grips are, I just need it to come in maybe that far onto this, and so that's the sort of size. So you can sort of see the measurements that we're working with here. It's not going to be too difficult. So to shape that top end, I'm going to use the spoke shave. I've just got a Melbourne Tool Company one here and an old Stanley 151, so I'll be using both of those depending on what works best. So I'm going to start here. So I'm kind of eyeballing the top of this now. It doesn't matter if it's not 100% round, but I'm trying to at least make it a little bit even. So the sort of taper I'm looking here is the taper that you might get on a shovel handle or something like that, which is obviously done on the lathe, and that's a much easier way of doing it, but we can still do this by eye. Now I'm just going to do what I wouldn't normally do and use some sandpaper here, because that's going to help round it out. Because we're able to get that movement on it. Roundish enough, and just tape it down a little bit, so when it's grabbed like this it's just more comfortable. So before I finish that up, I want to grab a Sloyd knife. Now if you don't have a normal carving knife, any sort of bushcraft knife can do this. Just note, safety when we're using one of these, You see this movement here. I can bring the knife in that motion and it's not going to cut myself because it goes in to this gap here. So if you keep your thumb on the outside when you're using one of these, it's going to pull into that gap every time and you won't cut yourself. It's kind of important, and you also want to do as much of your cutting right up close to the knife as possible. So you see here, and what I'm doing here is just taking that little square edge off here. But you notice all the movement's here, so it's actually pretty safe. So if you see on the edge there, I kind of just added a chamfer to it, and that just smooths that edge off and stops that wanting to splinter. So now that we've got that top edge done, we need to actually shape this back edge here. Problem is, it's round, so how do we hold that and stop it moving? Well, the solution I normally come up with is I get a hold fast in through here, and I line it up just past the edge of my bench hook here. Now, with that pushed in there nicely, I'll grab my mallet, make sure that's really held in there when I hit it, and with a bench hook that's now held it, and you don't need to use any other jigs, that's held nice and tight. And now all we have to do is cut as straight as we can. And we've now got a nice little handle. Now, what I'm going to do here is shape this using the knife once again. At this time, I'm actually cutting more onto the back of the handle because I don't want a sharp edge. So I'm actually cutting across the end grain. So you can see I've shaped it there. Now I'm going to cut more into the end grain a little bit more, just on a slightly different angle. Just rotating as I go. Now I'm just going to refine the last little bit of this with a little push cut like this. See, although it's a little rough and rustic, which is what we want, there's a slight chipping just on the edge here, so I'm just going to just run the sandpaper across just to roll that last sharp edge that's there, and then right on the very top, the sandpaper down like this, and we now actually have a handle. Now what I'm going to do is just smooth this out before we apply a finish. So what I've done here is gone ahead and put the tapered end in, and I'm just going to grab my card scraper, flex it like this, and just work around the rest of it. Just making sure it doesn't move. And Turn it round once again. So to find the center of this, I'm actually just going to eyeball it because it doesn't need to be 100%, it just needs to be close enough. And in this case, I should have marked it prior to doing all the work because then I was working with a full circle. Now that it's been chamfered, that's going to be too difficult to do. So learn from my mistake there. If you're going to make a handle shaping a dowel like that, make sure you find the center first. Or if you're working with square stock, make sure you put a center mark first because it's going to be a lot easier. So I'm going to just mark the middle both ways. And you can see we've been left with this little plus. I did actually have to nudge it across just a touch further because it didn't look right to me. And I'm just doing this all by eye because I said it doesn't have to be 100% accurate. I'm just getting it close enough. So we can see just here, that's about the center. I've got a set of these Fisk brad point bits. They're good German bits. These are just their standard, I think. I don't think it was their professional, it was just their standard range. And these actually work really, really well. Now, this gives you another idea. Once you get your drill bit here, this gives you a good idea as to the gap around the drill bit. And I can say that where I've got this sat, that it's pretty close to where it needs to be. Whoops. Make sure this is nice and secure before drilling it. And keeping it as upright as possible, I'm now going to start drilling. That's the handle. We'll quickly put some finish on it. And then it'll be good to attach. Just be careful not to get the oil down in the hole. Now, I'm actually just going to dry this off straight away because I don't need too much of a finish on this. I just need a little coating on it. You can see, it's good to go, ready to attach. So there you have it, folks. That's my simple, quick little handle build video. You could use this same process for a chisel and not just for a tripod like I'm going to be using it for. So if you like this video, please do like and subscribe down below. While you're down there, do sound off in the comments whether you had a spur of the moment, quick grab something in the shop project like we've just done here today. And if you'd like to see a little bit more knife skills or carving skills, I did quite a bit of spoon carving before getting into doing these YouTube videos. So if you'd like to see some more content related to that, do let me know in the comments below. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.